Mr. Paul Stephens. Well, like due regrets, the High Commissioner had to leave, so we'll proceed without him, although we will send a message of our regards to the gentleman. The next guest is the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Japan, Sri Lanka, Mr. Katsuki Kotaro. Welcome, sir. I welcome the Honorable Ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt to Sri Lanka, Mr. Mosleh. Welcome, sir. And last but not the least, the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Azerbaijan, New Delhi, Mr. Fakhri Alivev. However you like, sir. It's okay. Now I did prepare a lengthy note, but the gentleman before me has left nothing to be said. I'd only start with with an appeal. As we gather here today, let us celebrate the spirit of togetherness that has brought us here. We've come here with a mission of transcending borders, and this is something that the tour and travel industry does every day, every moment, everywhere. With this, I'll proceed to the discussion. Now, this is a travel and tour convention. The guests that are gathered here are their eminences, deal with some of the most urgent, matters, not just with the tour and travel industry, but globally, geopolitically. We will try to keep it a little light-hearted. And with that, I come with my first questions to the Honorable Ambassador of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, Ms. Ho Thanh. Welcome, ma'am. Now, in a time when geopolitical tensions crop up every day in every corner of the world, how has the tourism sector been affected by it?
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank guys for giving me the golden opportunities to speak at a very big gathering like this. And answers to your question, I'd like to first emphasize that Vietnam vision is to try to become a developing high-income economy by 2030 and developed country by 2024. So with that vision, we have made out a lot of measures in socio-economic policy to reach that target. And tourism is one among the important pillars to have achieved the target. And so far, the government of Vietnam has made a lot of investment for tourism industries. And I'm glad to share with you that before the COVID pandemic, we have made very remarkable achievements in tourism. Like we got the numbers of more than 18 million international arrivals to Vietnam in 2019, apart from very big numbers of about 85 million of the domestic arrivals, and among that, the international arrivals from the Northeast Asia is our biggest market. First is from China, South Korea, Japan, yes, and also Russia. They occupied a large number, but they ranked number 6 in the first 10 tops of our source market. So I think it means that for Vietnam market, so our target international arrivals is from the Northeast Asia, and why we try to reach more to the other like European or but at the present our level is still our target, and like other countries, we also have definitely affected by the COVID pandemic. So let alone any crisis like you mentioned, the geographical. So so far we reopened the countries before, and like with other countries, we look for a better recover in economic recovery, including industries, the tourism.
If I could just follow up, man. COVID was, an unprecedented calamity that affected one and all.
Yes.
And the tourism industry, took a really hard hit. What we've seen is that even as the industry has recovered, strong bilateral ties have played a key role. What is your experience about the effect of strong bilateral ties, both trade and otherwise, in putting a surge towards the tourism industry?
Yes, as I just said earlier that because the COVID pandemic gave a very severe impact to not only Vietnam economy but also the global economy. And however, during the time, so like for 2 years, from 2020 to 2021, when the whole world was affected by that. And we also see opportunities in that obstacle. So it means that we see like it is a time for us to well prepare for the next bounding, and with our very flexible policy, like why others are applying under like a zero COVID policy, like from China, and so with the restrictions in traveling, Vietnam, we focus on domestic arrivals. So, for instance, in 2022, we reached the peak of more than 100 million domestic arrivals. So it is far beyond the number we reached before the COVID. So that's the one of the example that how we are flexible enough to the new environment, to the new challenges.
Well, the success of Southeast Asian countries in bringing, revival to tourism is known to one and all. We in South Asia are trying to emulate much of the same. With this, I move to one of our next guests, Mr. Katsuki Kotaro. So, now that there is a renewed vigor in the tourism industry, there are new opportunities, but there are also new challenges. What kind of challenges does Japan face when it comes to, revival of tourism in the post-COVID world?
Thank you very much for the question, and I'd like to thank TAAI, also Slato, for organizing this event, and I'm very honored to be sitting with distinguished fellow panelists. And also, the previous speaker was very, motivating us, so I'll try my best to be clear on my points. Yes, so it's fair to say that we are all facing a huge challenge, not just the tourism industry, any country in the world and any industry. So in our view, well, at least what the government can do is to work on the playing field to make it more, workable for the people who want to play on the field. Then maybe there are several aspects. One is security, because, well, as we speak, unfortunately, there is a war going on, which is a kind of failure of our efforts. But we have to make that come to a cease. Also, I think terrorism, Sri Lanka also. Back in 2019 was affected by that. So I think there's a lot of room for international cooperation to make sure that terrorism won't happen and to eradicate that. The other is pandemic apparently. So that was a huge challenge, and I think the World Health Organization together with other institutions and governments, we try to work closely to overcome that. I think the experience that we acquired through that, we can, cope with the next pandemic. We hope that that will not happen, but I mean, in theory, it can happen anytime again. So I think it's very important for us to learn from the lessons and to cope with whatever new situation that might arise. And then that's the security aspect. And then I think the economy also plays in. So one thing is, a stable international economic order matters a lot. So like in this area, well, Sri Lanka is going through this IMF program with debt restructuring. Pakistan also just, the IMF just made a decision to intervene. So I think it's important for the international community to work together to stabilize the economic situation, and I think that's exactly what we are trying to do, also in the context of Sri Lanka. And then there are other things. Another is pricing. The tourism industry, just like any other industry, is heavily reliant upon fuel, be it air travel, sea travel, land travel. So, this price hike of energy will affect hugely. And also, as an importer of crude oil, Japan also is trying to cope with this. So to come to a healthy cooperation so that we can stabilize pricing, this will be, I think, one challenge that we have to work together to cope with. Then at the same time, I think the tourism industry is heavily reliant upon fuel. So that means, so from the viewpoint of sustainability, climate change, also I think there's a lot of room, I think, to try to lower the impact, negative impact to the environment. And so that's, I think, aiming at the sustainable posture is a challenge, but at the same time, I think it will bring about some chances to the industry, and I'm sure that we can come out with some good solutions. Also, I think, at the end of the day, tourism is human beings move around. So from that viewpoint, border control, especially by government, so passport issuance, visa issuance, these kind of things, the efficiency has to go up. So I think that we're doing a lot on that. Also, like airport infrastructure is absolutely important, because once a person comes in, that's the first thing they will usually see if they fly into a country. So, so that's why we are now working with the Sri Lankan authorities for the expansion of the Bandaranaike International Airport, which most of you, I think, just flew in days ago. So, yeah, and kind of lastly, I think in this era of digitalization and artificial intelligence, what the human being can do is being questioned. So that's the largest challenge. But in my view, something real, something you experience in real terms, will be something that human beings will continue to do. So if that is the case, tourism industry, it just provides a very good opportunity to do that. So I think, in this new era, we should all start thinking about, how to bring new value into the tourism industry through that, this whole, digitalization, artificial intelligence, this new reality. So I just want to say
So you touched upon a lot of key issues, but there's something that I'd like you to, elaborate upon, and that is sustainability. Sustainability is the new buzzword when it comes to tourism and industry in general. Now, as a nation which has an environmental program that goes back all the way to the 1890s, how does Japan look upon this new buzzword, and how does it manage to convey the same to the people who are coming to Japan?
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, I think sustainability is a movement which seems to be irreversible, I think, and for many reasons. I won't go into too much detail on that, but one is financing. In fact, the money, big money flows into environment, social and governance, ESG, and it's forcing business to aim at a more sustainable posture. So as the Japanese government, we are supporting those efforts both domestically and internationally. Well, domestically, we are working closely with our business community, with our local governments, with our educational institutions to kind of change the mindset and come up with some good sustainable solutions. And then also, I think in the international context also, if I'm not mistaken, I think this September in New York, during the UN General Assembly, there will be a SDG summit, and people will once again discuss about the way forward. But in any case, currently it's the 2030 is a goal, and to try to aim at the sustainable posture is, it's a global trend. And in my view, well, we are in Sri Lanka now here, so as Sri Lanka will come back, revive its economy, I would assume that it will take a very sustainable posture. And if that is the case, I think there is a good prospect for gaining very kind of sustainable growth. And we would be hoping that will happen. And well, today I'm very interested to learn from the colleagues in the industry what kind of solutions you will be coming up with that regards. Thank you very much.
Very well put, sir. Now, Mr. Kotaro, you spoke about security, you spoke about a number of key issues, and that brings me to the next leg of our discussion. I address this one to the Honorable Ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt to Sri Lanka. Mr. Mosleh, how crucial is the role of an investment climate, and the health of a private sector in a country for its tourism and travel sector?
Thank you very much for inviting me, for being here. Thank you, Jyoti, and my dear friend in Delhi. And I was quite inspired, I have to say, by the speech of Yogesh Shabriya. So thank you very much for that. I share with you 3 things. Before coming here, I was advisor to the Minister of Tourism and Trade during the time of COVID. And Egypt was one of the few countries that we never closed. I think Egypt and the Maldives and maybe a few other countries, but we never closed for tourism. So during COVID, the peak of COVID, Minister, of course, it was a panic because tourism comes second in the percentage of GDP. The minister was asking everybody, including myself, what to do about it. And then I told him, you're right question. We have to give the impression that business is running, private sector is working, the climate for business is quite welcoming and with a fair level of resilience. And he asked then what to do. I said, we go to Ukraine. We go to Ukraine and Belarus. Why? Because also they never stopped sending tourists. We had daily charter flights. So we took a flight, private flight, with businessmen to Ukraine and hold meetings with the tourist companies over there. And this maintained a level, but even made a higher level of inbound tourism. So it is very important. This is why during the crisis, I was just very much furious, I must say, during the crisis in Sri Lanka, that the image was far worse than reality. Accidentally, I live in Shangri-La, so I was having all the view, just a live view of the demonstrations and so forth. But what we saw in the media was far worse than reality. During the peak of the crisis, I was safe to drive around, walk around with my mother, just in a very safe environment. So yes, it has a very important impact on that, to answer your question.
See, by the very nature of the industry, the tourism travel sector kind of epitomizes the interconnectedness, that is a quality of the modern world. One thing that happens in one part of the country is bound to affect, people everywhere in the world. What are your thoughts, about the challenges that come with, say, being in a destabilized region, particularly in light of, the tumult that the Middle East, in particular, Egypt has seen over the course of the last 12 years? See, one crisis or another seems to come every few years globally. That is the nature of geopolitics today. So how do you, what are the kind of policies that Egypt has devised to counter these kinds of destabilized, matters?
Yes. So you see, as you put it, you cannot predict that. You have to realize that some crises may not have solutions. A bomb in a place, they may not have solutions for them. So you need to work on, as they say, you cannot fix the world, but you can fix yourself. So the focus of having more harmony within the society, more healthy business environment, more secure.
I'd like another perspective from Mr. Alivev on this. In a time when conflict affects entire regions, what are the challenges, direct and indirect, that, for instance, Azerbaijan has come to face?
Thank you very much. At the outset, I want to thank TAAI and Ms. Jyoti for inviting me. I came all along from New Delhi, so it's my first time in Sri Lanka. I also would like to thank Sri Lankan friends for their hospitality. I just spent 2-3 days here, and all I see around is the smiling faces, which tells you, in fact, about the level of hospitality of Sri Lankans. This is very pleasing, I must say. So, returning to your question, the conflicts, of course, put their price on the countries, but as our Egyptian colleague said, if you maintain the security, if you maintain the harmony inside of your society, this makes you stronger and resilient to any kind of threats and crisis. I also wanted to touch upon the pandemic that many countries paid a lot of price for that, including, for example, Sri Lanka, which was affected by this crisis. So in Azerbaijan, we didn't face this kind of turbulence because our country is rich with oil and gas, so this is our main part of our budget. Pandemic played heavily, but not so much drastic, I would say. After pandemic, we are starting to open up. I would say last year and this year is returning to pre-COVID figures in terms of tourist income. For example, I know there's a lot of Indian tourist companies here. I would just give a couple of statistic information. That last year around 70,000 of Indian people visited Azerbaijan, and with the opening of the direct flights last year from Azerbaijan Airlines, and this year with Indigo, we expect these figures to grow, and I would be safe saying that during this year around 100,000 Indian people will probably visit Azerbaijan. So this tells you about this place is very interesting for Indian tourists and for tourists in general. And we are happy to accommodate all the people who is coming to Azerbaijan. Thank you.
Sir, the Azerbaijan success story is being closely followed in India. But sometimes in the discussions we forget a crucial aspect, of the bilateral nature of the travel and tour industry. See, on one part we have operators in our nations, and every nation does its best to, give a surge to its own travel sector. But what are your thoughts on incentivizing foreign operators to drive footfall in Azerbaijan, for instance?
Thank you for the question. As I said previously, there was a lot of interest from Indian tour operators and in tourists in general. Just I will talk a little bit back. Until 2015 and 16, there was very little amount of Indian tourists who travel to Azerbaijan. It was about 30,000-40,000 people per year. But here I must say the importance of the media and the cinema, Bollywood, they start to come to Azerbaijan from 2017. They shoot several movies and several music clips, and from that period we never look back because number of Indian tourists start growing exponentially. So next year it was 34,000 people, year after 60,000 of people, and then pandemic came in the long time. And as I said, this year we see illegal opening the flights. This means there is a general interest in Azerbaijan from Indian tourists, and there's a lot of opportunity because as of now the flights will be operating only from Berlin, but India is so much big, so many countries with a multi-million population, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, you name a few, and there's a general interest, and we hope that the quantity of the flights will increase to Azerbaijan from the different cities of India, maybe even in different cities in Azerbaijan, because we have 11 international airports located in different parts of Azerbaijan. So we are happy to host Indian tourists. The Indian tourists, I must say, they feel safe and as a whole in Baku. Just recently I returned from the vacation. It was full of Indian tourists, and with several of them I spoke on their experience. Most of them was very happy. They enjoyed hospitality in Azerbaijan, and as well as what country has to offer. And this is like a lot, starting from historical places to modern infrastructure, modern buildings, different kind of activities. Some pictures will be shared with you later, and you will see it's a really interesting place to visit for Indian tourists. Thank you.
We wish you the best for your endeavors, sir. Now coming towards the idea, we've been talking about plans, there have been ideas that have been bandied about. And it brings me to a line which has been spoken again and again, particularly by the Honorary President, Ms. Mayal. And she said, look towards the future. Now at this point, I'd like to pass the mic around, and I'd like to hear your thoughts, one idea from each of your perspectives on what is going to drive, tourism in the future, particularly regional tourism. So we'll start with you now.
When I just entered this room and our speaker just talked about do it now, and I just looked at the book, what was the title, like Live the Life You Deserve, right? And yes, and in Vietnam, now when our tourism industries, we have lived fully in Vietnam. So it is the motto and the target that the Vietnam tourism is trying for, and we have done all our best.